And FCW, it's kind of like the beginning groundwork for your wrestling career. And
Right.
how did you even get involved with the WWE and FCW?
Oh, I was a body guy at the time. I was right place, right time. I knew the right people.
Yeah.
I knew Rick Bassman. He was
Oh
the
yeah.
owner of UPW. And for anybody that doesn't know UPW, I mean, Rick found Sting, he found Ultimate Warrior, he found Cena. All those guys were his guys. But by the time I had gotten around to it, it was kind of like generally just surviving at the time. And I hadn't watched wrestling since I was a kid. Rick and I were friends because we were networking in the same business. He had a gym that was like a block away from our personal training center in Southern California. So we became friends that way. Like, hey, let's network instead of try to put each other out of business. Little do I know, I'm hanging out with all these big, tall guys like Sylvester Turkey and Tom Howard and like all these dudes. I got no idea they're wrestlers. And so we're all like buddies. One day, Rick calls me up. He's like, "Hey, what are you doing right now?" I'm just sitting around the house. And he goes, "Why don't you come up to the gym?" Why? I know he's got something cooking when he's talking like that. And he goes, "Well, I've got some talent scouts here from WWE." He goes, "I know you don't watch wrestling, but why don't you just come on up and have a look? The worst thing that happen is that they don't like the way you look and nothing happens." He goes, "The best thing that happens, you walk away with a contract." I'm like, "Really?" So I walked up there in like a tank top and jeans, and I opened the door. There's like 30 or 40 dudes in their boots and underwear bumping around in there and like full gimmick. And I look around, I'm like, what the hell did I just walk into? So Bucci comes and grabs me, Mike Bucci and Bassman. They pull me and these two other guys into the back office. And they go, "Look, we know you know anything about wrestling. Like, it's cool, but you got to look and you're marketable. So why don't you come back tomorrow? We'll see if you got two left feet." So I did. I didn't have two left feet, thank God. They sent me for a tryout in Deep South, and they said train with Rick for about long as you can. About a year later, I walk into the Staples Center with Rick, just going to say hi to people, and Johnny Laurinaitis is like, "Hey kid," funny, my voice kind of resembles him right now. It's like it's so hoarse. It's just like ever since my vocal surgery, it's been so shot. But he's like, "Hey kid, why don't you come into the back office with me?" I'm like, "Okay." Like, get back there and he just slides this book across the table. It's like this thick. And he goes, "You ready to go to Florida?" I'm like, "For what?" And he goes, "Because you got a contract right there that you need to sign." I'm like, "Oh, okay." And that was it. Right place, right time. And the rest is history.
Wow. So, it's funny because Jordan Laurinaitis, there's two coins, two sides of that coin. You're either a John Laurinaitis person or you are not.
Nope,
And
you are.
if you're not, that's a tough time. But obviously you were. So
Yeah.
offer your
Johnny was always, he was always cool to me. Like,
yes.
honestly, when my daughter was about to be born, I was in Europe on the SmackDown tour, like, on the due date, and I'm freaking out, freaking out, freaking out. And Johnny's like, "Get through this one thing, we'll send you home." I'm like, "Okay." So I did. Like, I finished. I think I didn't finish the whole tour, but I was freaking out. I'm like, "I gotta go home." He's like, "Go, go, go." And not only did he send me home, he's like, after Mia was born, he's like, "Take 2 weeks off." Well, what? I said, "Nobody gets that." He's like, "Take 2 weeks off." And so he gave me 2 weeks off to be with my wife and my new daughter. So it was pretty cool of me.
Right. Again, I hear wonderful, very heartfelt stories from individuals, but then I hear the horror of other stories. So
Well,
you're always like,
I've seen both sides.
oh, okay. So you
I've
have
been on the
experienced both
receiving
sides.
end of the bad side too. I've been on the receiving end. Like, I've seen both sides of Johnny.
Okay.
And when there's a whole airplane incident in Wisconsin, he was not nice to me.
Yeah, I imagine because again a lot of things happen and a lot of things change. But with FCW though, you come in and then NXT eventually as a thing. And how are you feeling because FCW facilities are not compared to NXT facilities? I would compare it to like Disney World and Chuck E. Cheese.
No, no, honey, we were there when FCW was being built. And we would literally, there was like roll up doors in the back. Remember, it's just a big warehouse. We had
Yeah.
three rings in the back, one ring in the TV taping area that wasn't even up yet. When I was there, there were no bathrooms. There was no running water. Like, we just roll up the doors and we just pee off the freaking like back roll up door until the neighbors complain. A bunch of dudes, a bunch of roster guys are just unzipping and peeing out the freaking out the doors. So no, the facilities were nowhere near what NXT has now, but in the world of wrestling at that time, that was the best developmental facility anybody had ever seen. So
Yeah,
we felt pretty special at the time. There's no sauna, no weights, but we're like, yeah, you know what though? We got 3 rings. We're like, hey.
that's true. Good point.
Then we got air conditioning eventually. Eventually, we got air conditioning.
Oh,
The
well,
first year.
not in the beginning.
The first summer I was there, so imagine Tampa, Florida in the heat of summer with all that humidity and no air conditioning in a warehouse with 3 rings. We did man in the middle one time. We had to call practice because every time somebody do a baseball slide, the amount of sweat on the mats was splashing upwards into people's eye. Like, I mean, it was like you were water skiing. It was insane.
Wow.
It was gross. Yeah.
Yuck. So,
Yeah, I mean,
so
yuck
I'm
sure.
very happy NXT was created. So air conditioning
Oh
could be
yeah.
in a
Those
building.
greenhorns don't know what they got.
Wow, it's tough down here. The air, oh, it's so chilly in here.